What's up, Kyle?
What's up, Scott? Feels like we've been out a while.
Yeah, crazy weekend.
Even though we've been working more on this shit than ever, feels like we have had some time off because there was no UFC last week.
No fights. Feels like we had the weekend off, even though we put up 12 videos this weekend.
Didn't have the craziest weekend of all time, but that's for a different date.
We'll get to that next week.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, UFC
so we're doing
this
fights
weekend.
first.
Yep. Rozenstruik, Sakai. It might not seem like the best card watch-wise, but I actually really like it for DraftKings and for gambling.
Oh yeah.
It's a deep card. Tons of fights.
Yeah.
A lot of questionable dogs. The pricing for DraftKings, again, to me, seems off. A lot of good spots, I think. We can start just by breaking down the card, then we'll get into our bets like usual and our DraftKings. Yep. All right, so first up is Claudio Puelles versus Jordan Leavitt. Puelles is new to the UFC. He trains at a Sanford MMA. It's a good gym. He's coming in at 10-2 against Jordan Leavitt, who's 8-0, who looked excellent in his last fight. That sub was nasty. They're both 25 years old, both 5'9", 5'8", respectively. Reach is identical. I think the difference here is going to be Leavitt's submissions. Again, I think he's going to come out on top probably with a sub. Any thoughts on that one, Scott?
Yeah, I think, the line is telling you who they think is going to win, and Leavitt's sitting at -200 right now. I think that's about right for him, the way he's been fighting his last few.
I agree.
His submission game is legit.
I agree.
This could be an easy first win of the night.
Next up is Sean Woodson versus Youssef Zalal. This is a lot harder fight for me to call. Never been high on Sean Woodson. He's kind of long, lanky guy. I actually get Sean Woodson and Jordan Leavitt confused. they are. I don't know why that is, but Sean Woodson's more of a boxer. Youssef Zalal is a guy that we were high on when he first came in. Now I'm not as high on him. He's not really great in any area, but he's not bad in any area.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, I'd have to take Sean Woodson because his boxing is better than anything Youssef has. But Youssef's grinding style and not quitting on himself could be an issue for Sean Woodson later in this fight. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Right now it's listing Woodson at 149 on the ESPN app. So that's a little weird.
Let's see.
But, yeah, I definitely like Woodson in this. It's going to be tough. I mean, Woodson is like a massive featherweight. He's 6'2", 78-inch reach to Zalal's 72. I mean, if he can just pick him apart from at distance the whole time, and Zalal would not be able to do much about it.
I agree. I think Zalal's going to have to try to get that wrestling going. He's not the greatest wrestler, but he does attempt.
That's his only shot.
He does attempt takedowns, which is promising, and he's only 24 years old, the Moroccan. So, he's young enough to make huge improvements before each fight. I think I'm going to be staying away from this one.
I think that's a good idea.
Next fight, Manon Fiorot versus Mariana Moroz, and this is one I'm huge on Manon in this one. I think she has serious power for her weight division. She had an unsuccessful debut, followed up by a beautiful win. I think she gets another beautiful win here. Not sure if by KO or TKO, but I think she wins this pretty easy.
Yeah, I like Fiorot as well.
Yeah. What's odds on her?
She is currently sitting at -170.
Yeah.
And Moroz is +145.
I like Manon in that one.
Lay the juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few big favorites on this card.
Oh, yeah.
Or not like... Well, I guess there's one that's minus 300 or above, but there's a lot of, like, minus 200 favorites here.
Right.
So we could get some wins later on a couple dogs. That'll be nice.
Right. Next up is Alan Patrick versus Mason Jones. And this is another tough one for me. Mason Jones, in his UFC debut, lost a war against Mike Davis. It was fight of the night. Mason Jones came in here with some hype behind him. He's a young kid. He's good everywhere. Scrappy guy. Showed that in the Mike Davis fight. And then Alan Patrick, he's a older guy, super athletic. But he's lost his last two against Scott Holtman by KO and to Bobby Green, who I'm not high on Bobby Green. We lost that fight. We picked Alan Patrick in that one. I have to go Mason Jones here. I think Mason Jones, being the younger guy, he wants it more. He wants it more than Alan Patrick. That's, I think, Alan Patrick's biggest problem. He's got all the tools in the world, but I think Mason Jones wants this more than him.
Yeah, and I think coming off a recent knockout loss, we'll have to see if he's lost a little bit on his chin from that.
And he is 37.
But, yeah,
37 years old.
And he's 37. Probably lost a step and a half, maybe 2 steps.
Yeah.
And it's tough to make a case against the minus 300 favorite here. We'll definitely have to be keeping an eye on him for DraftKings and maybe throwing him in a couple parlays here.
But that's the thing with this card is like a Mason Jones at minus 300. I'm going to stay away from. There's better spots on this card than that.
Yeah.
Next up.
Yeah, for sure.
Francisco Trinaldo versus Muslim Salikov. Francisco Trinaldo is ancient. He's 42 years old. I don't see an avenue of victory for him in this fight. I really don't. Muslim's only problem is he's a little bit gun shy. He's a little too patient. He's willing to sit there and wait it out. He's not gonna charge on you. I know Francisco Trinaldo looked good in his last fight, knocking out Jai Herbert, but is Jai Herbert any good? I don't think so.
Yeah. I do remember his last fight he was a pretty sizable dog, though,
he was.
too, right?
He was, yep.
Yeah.
Against the younger...
Yeah, it was... Yep.
Younger Jai Herbert, yep.
Came out there...
And looked good. He did. He looked good.
He shockingly good.
Yeah.
I think we were picking against him.
No doubt, we picked against him.
Then, yeah.
The only thing is, Muslim Salikov has much better wins recently. He beat Nordin Taleb, who is a beast. He beat Loreno Staropoli, and he beat Elizo Zaleski dos Santos in his last 3. He's actually on a 4-fight winning streak. And I think the explosiveness of Salikov is going to be the difference. And I do think Salikov gets the knockout here. One of these guys is getting knocked out. And Salikov's patience, I think, will be the difference. And he'll catch Trinaldo coming in.
Yeah. I agree.
Next fight, Tanner Boser, Ilir Latifi. Boser was someone who looked great when he first came into the UFC. Kind of made everyone get on the train, and then he lost to Andrei Arlovsky. His 2 wins in the UFC are over Felipe Lins and Rafael Pessoa. Nothing too impressive. And then Ilir Latifi is a 205er, really. But he is a massive man. Just big guy.
Yeah, 5'10", 247 with abs.
Yeah.
Is thick.
Yes. And he lost to Derek Lewis, but he made it all 3 rounds.
Right. He didn't get knocked out by Derek Lewis, which is more than a lot of people can say.
Exactly. And against a smaller guy like Tanner Boser, I expect Ilir Latifi to get these takedowns and be the stronger of the 2.
Yeah.
especially since he's a dog. He is a dog here, isn't he?
He is, plus 170.
Yeah, especially love that line. I'll be taking Latifi here.
Yeah, Tanner Boser looks like he is right out of the cast of Letterkenny.
He does.
As well.
He does. Toughest man.
Yeah. Toughest man in Letterkenny.
Next fight up, we got a women's flyweight bout versus Montana De La Rosa and Ariana Lipski, your girl. You want to talk about this one, Scott?
The Queen of Violence. Yeah, so Lipski is a plus 220 dog, and Montana De La Rosa is sitting at minus 270. Not a ton of value in De La Rosa. So she did just have a draw.
Yes.
Up against Bueno Silva, and she lost to Arujo. Lipski has not had the best results. She lost her last fight as well.
She did. We were on her.
And then but then she absolutely destroyed in her fight before that.
Yeah, Luana Carolina.
So these are two women who are kind of on a downward trend. No value here in taking De La Rosa and laying the minus 270. So for me, this is either a stay away or a small pick on Lipski. Maybe throw her in a DraftKings lineup if you're spending all your money on the more expensive guys and you want a cheaper play here. But that's pretty much all I got for this one.
I agree with you. No value at all.
Lipski gets it by decision.
No value at all on
De La Rosa.
Sub.
She has
shitty wrestling with a great ground game. Ariana Lipski is the Queen of Violence, loves to strike.
The Queen of Violence.
And if I was forced to choose, which I probably won't bet on this fight, I would pick Lipski if I was forced to.
Yeah.
Next fight, Makwan Amirkhani versus Kamala Kirk. No point in going over this fight. Amirkhani's going to win this one easily. That's just the truth. I never even heard of Kamala Kirk. I'm sorry if I'm disrespecting you. But
his picture's not even in color on ESPN.
But I don't see how he could beat Makwan. Makwan's wrestling and submissions will be on point. He'll be an spooky pick.
Wrestling. Yeah.
So that's all I got on that one. Tom Breeze versus Antonio Arroyo kick off the main event. And this is one where I'm really tempted on Arroyo here. Haven't been super impressed with Tom Breeze. He lost to Amari Akhmedov, which, I mean, that's a monster. But he beat KB Buller, who sucks. He lost to Brendan Allen. He beat an old man, Daniel Kelly, and he lost to Sean Strickland. It's not super
Sean
impressed.
Strickland's okay, but he's not
Sean Strickland's
awesome.
Excellent. Antonio Arroyo has super hard kicks. The dude kicks ridiculously hard. He's pretty big for the weight division. He hasn't been super successful in his UFC career, but against a guy like Tom Breeze, it's going to be a striking affair.
Yeah. And we've seen in the last couple of cards you can win with leg kicks.
Oh yeah. And I'm really tempted on pulling the trigger on Arroyo here. Any thoughts, Scott?
No, I think you're spot on. Neither one of these guys I'm super impressed with, so if I had to pick one, I'd probably take the leg chopper.
Yeah. Next up is Dusko Todorovic versus Gregory Rodriguez. I like Dusko, even though he lost his last fight to Soriano. Soriano's a monster.
Yes.
Dusko is a guy, he kind of does have that tall man defense where he just leans back. He leaves his chin open. But he's welcoming Gregory Rodriguez to the UFC, I believe. His nickname is RoboCop.
Sick.
Right. He lost to Jordan Williams this past year, and then he went on a 2-fight winning streak, both by KO. One of these guys probably will get KO'd, so it's a good one to target in DraftKings. I'll be on the Dusko side.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Next up, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Miguel Baeza. And this is a fight that's going to be a scrap. Ponzinibbio did not look like himself in his last fight, his first fight back off a long layoff. Was not impressed at what I saw. And Miguel,
definitely some ring rust there.
And Miguel Baeza has been crushing everyone he fights. I think this is a spot in the UFC where they're kind of hoping for violence, period.
Yes.
If Ponzinibbio comes out and knocks out the new 10-0 prospect, he's back. You know what I mean? You could throw him right back in there.
Right.
If Miguel Baeza wins, hey, he knocked out a guy who has a decent name still.
Yeah. Still has some definite name recognition, and he's got he's been in a lot of fights. So that's if Baeza comes out and knocks him out, then that is no small feat in and of itself.
And losing to the Leech, I mean, Ji Liang, it's not horrible, but he didn't look good in that loss.
Right.
I'd go Miguel Baeza just because he's the young stud, and based off that last fight, Ponzinibbio looked like shit. But if he comes back, old Ponzinibbio probably beats Miguel Baeza, so that's why it's a hard one.
Right. Yeah, and I think the line is pretty much spot on with Baeza, slight favorite at -120. It's basically a pick'em, though.
Yeah.
Ponzinibbio is +100. So.
Next fight up is Roman Dolidze versus Loreno Staropoli. Staropoli, we already talked about him briefly. He lost to Muslim Salikov. He then lost to Tim Means. Roman Dolidze is someone I was huge on. He lost his last fight against someone who I also tend to bet a lot that not a lot of people like, in Trevin Giles. Trevin Giles is not bad. He's undersized, but he's a great wrestler, and he's just a dog. We always like him over here. People like to pick against him, so I'm taking Roman again. I think that loss to Trevin...
I like that as well.
I think that loss to Trevin wasn't so bad. Loreno, he lost his last two. He lost to an aging Tim Means. I think that's a little bit worse of the loss. Roman is a monster, so I like him here.
He is. He's got quite the neck on him. Fucking thick as hell.
After this, we only got 2 heavyweight fights left. And Walt Harris versus Marcin Tybura in a fight that has me in a pretzel. I have no idea.
I am not a Walt Harris fan.
No, he gasses so fast, but before he gasses, he looks like he might be the strongest guy in the whole world.
Right.
I mean, before he gasses out in 2 minutes, he looks like he may be able to throw you out of the ring.
Yeah.
But Marcin Tybura is a big heavyweight. He is big, and he's patient. His wrestling's good. He doesn't gas out, and he showed me in his recent fights that he's got a great jab. I think Tybura wins this. Walt Harris is scary because, like I said, he can explode on you.
Right.
But Marcin almost has...
he's a Division I athlete in college, and a professional athlete now. So he is explosive.
Yes, but Marcin almost has the perfect style to beat that in the grinding wrestling, and jabs. It's almost a perfect style. So I like Marcin here, probably. And this fight is not going the distance, so we'll have to look at that prop.
Right.
It's definitely not going to be great, but I like Marcin.
I agree 100%.
Heavyweight scrap, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Augusto Sakai. This is another hard one. Jairzinho just lost to Cyril Gagne after getting beat by the champ Francis. And
the fight with Cyril Gagne was not. Neither one looked very good.
I agree. And Augusto Sakai is coming off a loss against Alistair Overeem, but Overeem is a fucking monster. And Augusto Sakai beat Tybura, who we just were saying we're high on, and he beat our boy Blogov.
Yes.
And Andrei Arlovsky. I like Sakai. He's a little slow. Like, he's slow and plodding.
Definitely.
Which scares me against someone who hits as hard as Jairzinho. So I won't be.
Yeah, this is definitely. Go ahead.
I won't be betting it. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a must-win for Rozenstruik if he wants a shot at a title, because he is number 5th ranked right now. If I want to say,
he's top 10.
Maybe lower. Yeah, after the loss to Gane. Yeah, he was top 5 when he fought Gane, so he's probably 6 or 7 now. So if he wants any hope of Dana calling him for, a shot later in the year, probably be next year now, because I think Derek Lewis is going to have a shot before him, I would hope. And but if he comes out here and loses like 50 to 45 or something like that, like just gets worked the whole time, he's basically done. He's going to be fighting fucking Andrei Arlovsky next if he loses this one.
I agree. You want to get to some bets?
Yes. Yeah, and I was just looking while you were talking at some DraftKings. Okay,
you want to do DraftKings first?
Yeah, let's do DraftKings first because I have that up already.
All right.
So far I've got 4 guys picked.
Okay.
And I'm working on the last 2. We have Ilir Latifi's a nice cheapie. I did end up going with Rozenstruik just because he's only 8,200.
Right. That makes sense.
And and because he should win.
Mm-hmm.
Like the UFC wants him to win, essentially. And then I have Marcin Tybura and Fiorot after that. And I need 2 more. I have 86.50 left. Should I go with... what do you think about taking Lipsky at 6,900?
I like it.
He's probably not going to win, but...
I do like it.
Or I could actually pick Baeza instead for 83 and still have 9,000 left.
I like that more.
Yes. Yeah. And then at 9,000, I do have the option to take the Monkey King Jordan Levitt at 9K. And then we could also take Sean Woodson or like a Roman Dolidze.
I like Roman. I like Roman.
Yeah, me too. I was kind of hoping you say that. Georgians, they do have that extra gear.
They do. I made 2 as well.
Yeah.
I did one kind of more like a. I take that back. They're both tournament teams. Yeah. Neither one of these is cash. I got Miguel Baeza with Walt Harris. So, like we said, we like Tybura. DraftKings is a little different. We know DraftKings strategy. Mm-hmm. If Walt Harris wins, it will be by a flash knockout, probably round 1. That's how he fights.
Yeah.
Then I have Mason Jones, Ilir Latifi, Monkey King, and Augusto Sakai.
Monkey King.
That leaves you with $400.
Yeah.
And then the next one, just because the pricing in this is pretty lenient, you can do something crazy and leave $2,000 on the table, which I did with this team. And I took Antonio Arroyo, Miguel Baeza, Manon Fiorot, the Violence Queen, Lipsky, Todorovic, and Tybura. All those have the possibility of finishing.
Yeah.
And if you will be, I just said it on a podcast, but if you were to make one of these lineups, you would be the only one to have something like this, $2,000 on the line.
Right.
And the pricing allows you to do it. Like, just looking at the lines versus DraftKings pricing, they usually do it pretty tight, but they're not.
Yeah, I was just thinking this is definitely a better DraftKings week than betting.
Exactly. Like, just look at the Sean Woodson and Yusuf Zalal. I mean, that's a huge gap. Tybura and Walt Harris, huge gap. Latifi and Boser, huge gap. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Agree.
And just wanted to say one more thing about the Monkey King. His win was against Matt Wyman, who is a shell of a human. So Claudio Pohelas could be a nice DraftKings pick. Just throwing that out.
Yeah, and he's got to be pretty cheap.
Yep, he'll be cheap and he'll be under-owned. Everybody wants to play the Monkey King.
7.2 thousand.
Yeah, exactly. That brings us to the bets. And I have a two-team parlay that I love, and I do not see how it loses. It's Manon Fiorot and Makwan Americani.
Yes.
Plus 119.
I was literally thinking those two as you were saying that. I was clicking on Markwan Americani. I had Manon Fiorot in there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man.
So I don't see how that loses.
Yeah.
I'm willing to put a bunch of units on that, and we will.
Oh, yes, we will.
Then I always like to do the bigger parlays. You know us. You know our pod.
Yes.
We got Ilir Latifi. Let's match him up with Miguel Baeza. Let's match that up with another dog and Antonio Arroyo. That's already at plus 1210. And then let's add one more to the pack. And let's add our girl Lipsky. The dog parlay besides Baeza. It's plus 376. So that means $1 will win you 37.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we have Baeza, and then who was the? So I had Baeza, Lipsky, and Latifi.
Arroyo.
Good God. Oh man. Guess it's plus 4,400.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I'll throw $8 at it.
Then we could do the old violence parlay. Dusko, Roman, and Miguel Baeza. The old violence parlay.
Ooh, yeah.
Like it.
I like that as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good bets this week. On DraftKings Sportsbook, they do not have all the props up yet, so we will have some props coming for you as well. Just keep eye on Twitter and our website. We'll post those.
Yep. And then you want to do a quick break and then golf?
Yeah, let's get into golf.
All right, awesome. See you in a minute.